Nabisco Golf presents Volume 1 of the PGA Tour's three-part series of instruction. Nabisco is pleased to be associated with the first home video golf instructional series to be endorsed and produced by the PGA Tour. Perhaps the greatest of golf's attractions is that it is unconquerable. There is a remarkable appeal in its mystery, imposing challenge in its elusiveness. Even the finest players can find the game so effortless one day and so painful the next. For centuries, golfers have pursued the one secret that would unravel the mysteries of the game. And by now, one would think we might have learned that there is no such secret, no magic that will reduce the appeal or diminish the challenge. And so it should be. But we are golfers, and the search continues. And in our quest for perfection, we constantly experiment with new methods and different systems in hopes of improving our technique and enhancing our enjoyment of the game. Too often, though, we find that yesterday's great illumination is today's dead end. The PGA Tour is the proving ground for the world's greatest golf professionals. They have all survived the ordeal of endless hours of experimentation and risen to the top of their profession. 5 of the very best of these professionals are going to pass on a distillation of their accumulated knowledge in the hope that a permanent illumination will take place in your game. Your host is a PGA golf professional, one who is known for his ability to convey a message by the spoken word, for he is also a television golf commentator. He is currently professional at Kapalua on the island of Maui. He is Mark Rolfing.
Hi. I hope you're sitting in a chair just like this, with a golf club in one hand and your remote control by your side, because that's the way you can best learn from this tape. And that's going to be my role, to help you learn. We've taken some liberties by using modern television techniques to make certain points and create hypothetical situations. And you can best learn from them by using modern television techniques yourself, to stop and review the information anytime you feel the need. We urge you to do so. In my experience as a teaching professional, I've often said to people, I can teach you, but I can't learn you. You must learn yourself. You have to work at it. And I've found that there is a definite knack to learning. Some people learn more quickly than others. Sometimes a different presentation of the same message can get through or sink in, and all of a sudden a light goes on. And the learner says, oh, so that's what you meant? Why didn't you say so in the first place? We're going to be presenting some fundamental thoughts in this tape and the 2 tapes that are going to follow. And if you're hearing what sounds like some repetitions, then you're getting the message. And if you're not hearing what you expected to hear, or what you want to hear, please consider that perhaps those notions are not as important as you might have thought. So let's meet the 5 players who you're going to be learning from. The first is Mr. Consistency, a man who has always been known for his precise repeating swing, a swing that has been the centerpiece of a long career that has put him among the favorites for every tournament he enters, week in and week out, year in and year out. He has been at or near the top of every leaderboard or money list.
Hello, I'm Tom Kite, and I'm going to talk to you about the short irons.
The next player is a man whose record of brilliant performances under pressure attests to the mettle of his swing. There is no greater test for a golf swing than the test of competition, whether it's the U.S. Open or a $2 Nassau at the club. And this man says his swing actually gets better as the pressure increases.
I'm Lanny Watkins. I'm going to talk to you about fairway woods.
When you're talking about fluid grace, our next player wrote the book. In the early 1980s, he emerged as one of that small group of the very best players in the game. His long, flowing, effortless swing belies the enormous power it can generate. It is a swing taught to him as a youngster by his father, and he has never changed that basic structure.
I'm Payne Stewart, and I'm going to talk to you about the long irons.
The next player is one who is known to his peers as a money player. He seems to just come out of the pack on Sunday afternoons with his rhythmic, unhurried tempo and marvelous club control. There seems to be no situation he cannot manage. No predicament he can't invent a shot for. His swing is an ideal one to watch, study, and emulate.
I'm Craig Stadler. I'll be talking about the mid-irons.
The fifth and final player is a man who has been a superstar since the day he turned professional. He brought a game to the tour that at the time had no equal. Long, booming drives, or deftly controlled short irons, rifled long irons, or delicate soft pitches. Here's a golf swing that can do it all.
I'm Hal Sutton, and I'm going to show you how to hit the driver.
So there you have 5 of the best, and they've got a lot to say. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to use some electronic techniques to help them make a point that'll become apparent as we go along. So pay attention.
There's one characteristic that every good golf swing has.
It repeats.
It does the same thing time and time again. Everything we tell you on this tape is intended to help you develop a repeating swing.
And the things we tell you are exactly the same things that we work on every time we practice, which is almost every day.
We don't expect you to be able to practice every day.
But you do have to practice fundamental movements.
Fundamental movements must be learned so that they become second nature.
Practice will help you achieve that. As you watch us, you'll see that we all have different and distinctive mannerisms.
Different builds,
And personalities.
That make our swings look entirely different.
Faster.
Slower.
longer.
Shorter.
These mannerisms shouldn't be confused with fundamentals.
You'll see that in fundamental positions, we're all very similar.
Some of us have different keys or methods of reaching these fundamental positions.
To make the point, we'll demonstrate the grip together.
When I grab the golf club, I always grab it with my left hand to begin with. Now let me show you when I put it into my left hand where I want to put it. Just on the inside of our index finger with the club resting back to the back of our little finger.
And then lays up into the palm, allowing you to put most of your grip pressure into the last 3 fingers of the left hand.
One good key is to be able to hold the club up where it balances in the left hand like this. And then I wrap these 3 fingers around the club.
That allows me to run my thumb down the top of the shaft of the golf club on the grip. My right hand fits on with my palm coming in and facing my left hand's palm, with the canal here on my right hand resting on top of my thumb of my left hand.
And now if you do this correctly, your thumb on your left hand should fall right into place into the palm of your right hand right here. Your right thumb should be just over to the left edge of the grip right there. That should be a correct grip right there.
Now the grip that I use is the overlapping grip. And the overlapping is where your little finger on your right hand overlaps your forefinger of your left hand. Much like that. Now when I started playing golf, when my hands were smaller, I used what they call the interlocking grip.
In my grip, I interlock. And so the index finger of my left hand and the little finger of my right hand are not even involved in the grip at all.
Yeah, I've always used an overlapping. That's not to say that interlocking's not good or better even, but that's just what's comfortable to me. You've got to figure out what's comfortable for you.
The point has been made here that all 5 of the players grip the club in the same manner. Tom Kite's interlocking grip is different from the other 4 players who overlap. But that is not a fundamental difference. It does not change the position of the hands on the club or in the relationship with the club face. It is simply a matter of personal preference, usually a function of smaller, thicker hands. Those who think the interlock is different than the Varden or overlap are confusing superficiality with fundamentals. What the players said was pay attention to the fundamentals. Let's review them. In the left hand, it's a combination of the palm and finger grip. The heel or meaty part of the hand must be on the top of the club, not on the side, but entirely on the top. The left thumb must be positioned down the top of the club, not down the left side, straight down the top. The pressure should be applied with the last 3 fingers. You should be able to comfortably handle the club by squeezing between the last 3 fingers and the heel of the left hand. The right hand goes on just like you're shaking hands. The club is grasped entirely with the fingers. The right hand fits perfectly over the left thumb. Pressure is applied with the middle 2 fingers of the right hand. The message here is that all the players did pretty much the same thing. I reviewed the important points, the fundamentals, just to illustrate how you can go back and review them. Not that you don't know how to use your VCR, I just want to encourage you to use it. I'm not going to recap each section like I have here with the grip, but I'll be back after each player to encourage you to do so. And I'll be back at the end to see if I can't help you sum it all up. Now, since you're going to be learning from 5 of the best golf players in the world, it follows that you ought to be in one of the best golf environments in the world. So we're going to take you to the golfing mecca of La Quinta, California, to the PGA West Complex, where many of professional golf's best-known players have their homes, and where even more of them come to the expansive practice areas and demanding array of championship courses to sharpen their games. We're going to put you on a private range for this first tape, with no one else around but 5 of the world's best, just you and them. So let's get started now on the short irons, with one of the most accurate and consistent players ever to play the PGA Tour, Mr. Tom Kite.
Now the reason we're starting off with the short irons is because that's the way you'd practice normally. You wouldn't start off with a driver and go out and hit a couple of really fast drivers and set a real fast tempo for the day. You'd want to start off with something nice and slow and easy and relaxed. That's the way you set the tempo for the day. I'm starting off with a pitching wedge, and all I'm trying to do here is just kind of set the tone for the day. I'm not really too concerned with the actual direction that I'm hitting it right now or the distance. But I'm just kind of setting my own tempo, trying to create a little bit of pace, knowing that I never want to be too fast. That if anything, while I'm warming up, I'd like to be a little bit on the slow side, because as the round progresses, I'm going to get a little bit faster. Now, one of my keys is to try to make sure that my waggle, my pre-shot routine, fits in with my tempo. If I can keep the swing fairly slow here before I actually take the club back, I have a much better chance of taking it slow all the way through the swing. Now, after I hit a couple of shots and start to feel a little bit loose, start to feel like my muscles are going to give a little bit, well, then I can start concentrating on the fundamentals that I need to start working on throughout the day. Now, the fundamentals are basically the same from shot to shot. The basic difference is the distance that you stand from the ball, which puts you on a little bit different plane, and also the distance that you swing the club around your body. When you get with a full driver, the club is obviously going to swing way around your body. You're going to get yourself in a position up here at the top where you're going to have a big turn, a big hip turn, a big shoulder turn, and the club's going to be well up here behind yourself. That gives you a lot of club head speed. On the short irons, you don't want that. You want something that's a little bit more restrictive. You'll set yourself in a position where your stance is a little bit open, where your left foot is back off of the line a little bit. Your hips are slightly open. This actually puts your right side in the way a little bit and actually inhibits your hip turn, which in turn inhibits your shoulder turn and doesn't allow you to get such a big swing here. Again, you're not going for distance. You're just going for control. These are the finesse clubs. These are the accuracy clubs. And that's what you have to concentrate on. So set yourself in a position with a little bit of weight on your left side. You're not going to need to transfer the weight back to your right side as much. Set yourself with a little bit of an open stance. Now, obviously, you'll be closer to the ball because the clubs are shorter. This puts you in a position to make a little bit more of an upright swing. Your swing will come more upright than it would on a driver or a long iron, where you'll be swinging more around yourself. This helps promote the accuracy that you want. If anything, when I'm hitting this shot on the golf course, I would like to have the feeling that my backswing is a little bit too short as opposed to overswinging. This ensures that I'm going to accelerate the club, but I want to make sure I do it in a slow, relaxed pace. I get myself with a nice, short, firm backswing, and that allows me to go ahead and hit right on through the ball with a lot of acceleration. Now that I'm starting to feel a little bit looser, I think I'll go to an 8-iron. I kind of set the tone for the tempo. I certainly don't want to relinquish that thought as I get on up into longer shots. I don't want to get myself in a position where I'm jerking the thing back. As I start to get into longer and longer shots, my main concentration will be on having what they call a one-piece takeaway, where you feel like your whole body turns the club back. Now, one of the keys that I use in trying to make sure that I have a one-piece takeaway, and one of the tips that I give to a lot of my Pro-Am partners, is that I really try to feel like that the first part of the swing, the arms don't do anything, that the body turns the club back entirely, that if I started off and I had this club pointed at my belly button when I first started, that when I got halfway back in my backswing, I would still have the club pointed right at my stomach. And then from that point on, it's just a lifting and turning of the arms around the body. And that way, you ensure that you get a very early turn in your swing. So you either have to think about keeping your swing nice and slow, which allows everything to go together, or you have to think about going back together, which forces you to stay slow. Either one of those thoughts will work well. But I like the thought of the one-piece takeaway. One of the key positions that I like to feel swing at the top of the backswing is that the left arm is staying pretty firm, that everything is right in here, that I don't have a whole lot of give with the left arm, that I don't have a whole lot of collapsing with the left wrist, that everything is nice and tight and wound up here, and that gets me in a position where I can release it. So as I start my downswing, I really feel like the left side straightens fairly quickly. Now as I come into the ball, the main thing is to try to get as close to, get the impact position as close to the address position as you can. Obviously there will be some differences. As you come into the ball, when you're at impact, your right foot is already starting to come up. There's some motion there, so you actually moved a little bit more to your left side and you're really driving on through. But as much as you can, try to get yourself in a position at address as you want to have yourself at impact. So what I have a feeling is that I never let myself go down with my swing. A lot of the teachers are teaching such a strong leg drive right now that they actually get some of their students to down flex this way, their whole body lowers, then they don't have a chance to fully extend their arms. They have to fold their arms up a little bit at impact, and that creates a really cramped position where they're not able to get as much extension and release as they would like. Try to feel like you're coming back to the same position. Really stand tall through the ball. Almost feel like that the left side really straightens up and the left side clears very early. This will allow you to have a total release with your arms and hands. That will carry you into a nice high follow-through position with your elbows right out in front of you and right on balance. Now I hope that some of these fundamentals that I've gone over will help you quite a bit. They are certainly the same fundamentals that we'll be talking about later on in the tapes with the long irons and the metal irons and the woods.
They'll help a lot, I'm certain, if you'll just practice them. Remember, understanding the concept is only the start of the process. Practice is the way to apply the fundamentals. We're going to have Tom review his thoughts now over a slow motion study of his swing. He's going to describe what he sees in his mind's eye when visualizing his swing. A good mental exercise to help you on days when you can't get to the practice tee.
The first thing that I do is I set a nice even pace with my waggle. I want to make sure that that's never rushed and that waggle pace is the same as throughout the entire swing. As I start the club back, it's turned back with the body, a one-piece takeaway. The arms never outrace the turn, never outrace the body. When I get to the top of the swing, I feel like that my left arm is firm, that my left arm is extended, that there's no slack or giving of the left arm. As I come back down and approach the address position, I try to get the impact as close to the address position as possible. That allows me to stand very tall, to feel like that my arms are totally extended as I come into the ball. As I go to the follow-through, obviously by releasing fully, you finish with your arms in front of you, hands up high, nice high follow-through, right on balance.
You probably noticed that Tom was swinging a driver in the slow motion section there, not a short iron. As he said, The swing is the same for all clubs. We're going to give you a look at the full swing in slow motion of each player at the conclusion of their segment. Remember, before we go on to the next part, was there anything about the things that Tom Kite had to say that you need to review? If so, do it now, or make a note to yourself to do it later. If not, we'll move along to the next player, one of the most fluid, natural swingers the game has ever seen, Mr. Craig Stadler.
Compared to other players on tour, my philosophy of the game is fairly simple. There are really only two main points I need to concentrate on to start my swing and finish my swing. That's taking the club back slow, making sure I get to the top and get set up there, allow my lower body time to get back so I can start everything down at the same time. The other point I need to concentrate on is when I finish the swing, I need to make sure my left side extends out to the target. Since I do fade the ball probably 98% of the time, I need to make sure I extend the back of my left hand out to the target a little longer, as opposed to rolling my right hand over, which is going to turn the ball right to left. I want to hang on a little longer here so I get that fade every time. In order to make sure my swing repeats every time, there are certain basic fundamental positions that I have to be in. Let's begin with the stance. Most of the time, my ball position is going to be back, a little farther back in my stance than the normal player. I've got a 5-iron, and your normal, I guess the average tour player will probably have his ball positioned here. The normal position for my 5-iron is about in the middle of my stance, maybe a hair towards my left front foot. Once you get good ball position and you get a good stance, then you have natural posture. Your body just molds in. You don't have to worry about if your weight's back or forward. If your hands are in a comfortable position, your ball is in a good position, and your stance is set, your posture will just naturally fall into the shot. After we've achieved a good ball position and a good stance, the only other fundamental we need to work on is alignment. We're going to be hitting at this flag out here with a 5-iron. So I'm going to hit a fade in there. I want my stance slightly open to the target, probably about 25 to 30 feet at 180 yards. That enables me to start my swing out to the left. I hold on, I'm going to create a left to right spin on the ball, which is going to fade into the target. The point I made earlier, if I don't hold on here a little longer, if I turn it over with my right hand, I'm going to hit the ball left of the target, which is the one thing I'm trying to avoid. Every shot I'm going to hit is going to be going left to right. If I don't hang on, I'm going to hit it left. I'm already aiming the ball 20 to 30 feet left of the hole. I'm going to be in the rough or a bunker or whatever's left of the green. Now all I have to do is go back to my two key points. I need to take the club back slow, hang on a little longer to get the fade I want. Let's see if it works. Now let's hit a hook. As I said, our stance now is going to go from being 20 to 30 feet left of the hole and open to just left of the hole, maybe 3 to 5 feet. The ball position, because we're moving our stance, our ball position is going to come back just behind the center of our stance. Other than the two keys, taking it away slow, hanging on a little longer, the only other change I'm going to make, I'm going to take the club back a little flatter, which will allow me to get a little more hip turn, letting me come into the ball, a little more of a sweeping motion, taking the ball right to left. Let's see if we can do that. Now if we want to hit the shot low, we drove it in the rough and we've got a couple trees to go under. Same thing applies with the hook as far as ball position. We're going to have the ball farther back in our stance, just inside our right heel. And the one thing I have to concentrate on now is I don't want to make a weight shift. I don't want to get my lower body going here so I catch the ball in a sweeping motion. I want to keep the weight all on my left side, take it back in one piece, come down with quite a bit steeper decline with the club into the ball, driving it down low. And as you'll see, my follow through will end about right here. It'll be a very short and sharp swing. See if we can do it. If we want to hit a high shot, just the opposite applies. We're going to move the ball farther up in our stance. Our hands are going to be a little bit behind the ball, as opposed to when we hit the ball low, until my hands were quite a ways in front of the ball. We're going to come from this position here, ball inside my right foot for the low shot. Just keep everything the same, just move everything back. Once I move my stance back, my hands naturally go back to behind the ball. So we'll start the ball left of the target. Again, our stance is open to the target. A little more this time, because we're going to get the ball up higher. It's going to tend to fade a little more. So we're going to open our stance up to about 50, 60 feet left of the target. Hands will be behind the ball. Everything else is the same. I concentrate on taking it back slow, getting everything set at the top at the same time. Start down with my lower left side, let everything else fall in place. See if we can hit one high. If you can master these 4 basic fundamentals we've discussed, stance, ball position, alignment, and a good grip, then you too can develop swing keys of your own. But don't forget, all these things are going to take plenty of time, patience, and especially lots and lots of practice. So good luck.
That was interesting. You know, Craig Stadler manipulates the ball as well as anyone, and he does it all with ball position. His natural style produces a fade. Your natural style may produce a shot that tends to draw, or to fly lower, or higher than the norm. Whatever it is that your natural style gives rise to, go with it. Let's go back and look at Craig in slow motion, this time with a driver, and we'll be able to listen to him describe how he visualizes his swing.
Compared to other tour players, I have a simple swing philosophy. I'm not mechanical, and I have just 2 swing keys that make my swing work. My first thought is to take the club back slow. I need to make sure that my takeaway isn't too fast, so I get my upper body to the top before my lower body's made its complete turn. I start down from here. The second thought is once I get to impact, I need to make sure I continue out to the target with the back of my left wrist, keeping everything out to the target before I make my turn into my follow-through. That keeps the ball on line. It's going to keep my left to right spin and create the little fade that I want.
You know, Craig is as good an example of smooth, rhythmic grace as you can expect to see. It would be a good idea to go back and watch him, just to get a feeling of that balance and control. Okay? Let's take a look at the techniques with the long irons now with one of the PGA Tour's most exciting personalities and a man who's on the leaderboard every week, Mr. Payne Stewart.
One of the biggest obstacles that amateur players have is the fear of the long irons. There's really no reason to fear the long irons. Everything is built right into the club to allow you to hit it as you would any other club. The length is longer, the loft is less. It means all you have to do is put the same swing on the golf club as you do with any other club. Now I have a 2-iron in my hands. And you might be asking yourself, now what's the proper stance? Now how are we going to figure that out? Well, as your clubs get longer, your stance tends to get a little wider. Now the general rule that I'll go by on a stance for a 2-iron is the insides of my arches will be the width of my shoulders. So say my shoulder width is this wide. Now the inside of my arches is that wide. So now that I have the width of my stance is on the width of my shoulders, the inside of my arches, I have a very standard point that I can go to when I'm out practicing for my long iron. Now the distance from the ball is a very important factor while hitting your long irons. You don't want to get so far out that you get way up on your toes and lose your balance, or so close to you that you're back on your heels with no place for your arms to swing through your shot. So the distance of your ball is much like if you're going to go shake hands with somebody. If you shake hands with them, you're going to stick your hand out here with our club out there, shake hands, let our arms just fall down and dangle a little bit. A little tip that my father told me when I was a boy of how to check my ball position, whether I was too far away from it or too close, was when I release the club with my left hand and it falls down, if it hits right above my left knee, then I know that I'm in the correct position. Now if I'm too far away from the ball, the club will hit down here below my knee. If I was too close to the ball, the club's going to be hitting way up on my thigh. So the tip that I'm giving you is when you release the club with your left hand and it's hitting just above your left knee, then you know you're in the correct position to hit the golf ball. Now with ball position, everybody might be wondering, the longer the clubs, the farther the ball is going to get forward in your stance. I'm going to call this the middle of my stance. As you can see, the ball is definitely in the forward third of my stance. The reason being that is because with long irons, you want to have a tendency of a sweeping motion when you're hitting the ball. You don't want to feel like you're going to be hitting down through the ball. You want to feel like you're going to sweep it off the ground, allowing your body and head to stay behind the ball as the club swings past. Now we're going to talk about the correct posture. What is the correct posture for long irons? Very similar if you're going to go shake hands with somebody. You go to shake hands with somebody, you're just going to stick your arm out there and shake hands with them. It's just like shaking hands with your golf club. Then let your arm fall down and brings your waist down over the ball. You don't want to be out too much up on your toes or back too far on your heels because you'll lose your balance. So the idea is we're shaking hands. We've got a gradual bend from our waist. We've got our butt tucked out a little bit. We've got a slight bend in our knees. We don't want too much bend because this will restrict our turn, or if we were stiff-legged, this will throw off all our movement in our lower body. Now that we've gotten in the right position to hit the ball, we have to be able to align ourselves to our target. Now my target's out there about 200 yards, and it's a flag. Now while you are on your practice tee, you need to pick out a target to aim at, because if you cannot learn how to align yourself properly, then it won't do you any good once you get on the golf course. Now a tip to learn how to align yourself is get another club out of your bag and set it down in a parallel to your target line. So now my club's set down parallel to my target line. I know that if I can align my feet, shoulders, and hips to that line, that I'll be in line with my target. So I'm going to check and make sure my feet are parallel to my target line, my hips are parallel to the target line, and my shoulders are aligned with the target. So now I know that I'm in the correct position to hit that ball down my target line. Now that we're aligned and ready to hit the ball, we're going to get rid of our parallel line and learn how to take the club away from the ball. Now I believe the takeaway is set up through the left shoulder and left arm. We don't want to take the club away with our hands. We don't want to take it away with our right side. We want to take the club and push it away with our left shoulder and left arm. With long irons, we want to take the club away low and slow, like 4 to 6 inches away from the ball. We're going to push the club away low and slow. Now this is going to enable us to turn in, get our shoulder underneath our chin. Now we're back here and we're coiled and we're ready to hit the shot. From here, you can make a downward move with your arms, allowing you to come through the ball, transferring your weight over to your left side. Now you can take a step toward your target. Now how many times will you set up and take a swing where you reverse pivot? Now this is the worst thing that amateurs or professionals can do. When you do this, you're not in the correct hitting position. You're back on you've got all your weight here on your left side. The only place you can go from here, unless to fall down and hit the shot, is fall back away from it. You're not going to be able to generate any club head speed, or the ball's not going to go on your intended line of where you want it to go. So when we see this, we know that we're not transferring our weight properly. The proper weight shift is to go from the right side to the left side, allowing us with our arm movement, pulling our weight over to our left side. Now we can take a step toward our target. Now a little tip for you to find out where your backswing should go to: put your arms straight out away from you and turn your left shoulder under your chin. Alright? Now you've turned away. Now obviously here you've turned your weight onto your right side. Now bend over and you're in the correct hitting position to hit that ball. Now we take a step right toward our target. you've made the perfect golf swing. Now that we've made this perfect shot and hit the ball straight, which is the easiest thing to do in golf, we're going to learn how to hook and fade the ball. That's curving the ball from right to left and left to right. It's done with the same swing, just altering our stance a little bit. Now we've got our stance for our straight ball. Now we're going to draw the ball. To do that, we're going to drop our right foot back a little bit. That's going to be closing off our stance. This is going to enable us to bring the club back on the inside. Once we get up at the top, we'll be hitting from the inside, coming across and turning the club head over, promoting a right to left drawing spin on the ball. So we're going to push the club away with our left shoulder again on the inside and drawing the ball right into our target area. Now that we've learned how to hook the ball, we're going to slice the ball by doing just the opposite. We're going to open our stance up. By opening, I mean drop the left foot back. It's going to put the right foot forward. Now we're going to push the club straight back, which will basically be, you'll feel like you're taking the club away from you on the outside. But you're still going to be pushing the club straight back, and you're going to come through and cut across the ball, promoting a left to right slicing action. So we've dropped our left foot back, opened our shoulders and our hips to the target. Now we're going to take the same swing that we've been learning about, cut across the ball, and cut the ball back to our target line. Now we're going to learn how to hit the ball high and low. We do that by our ball position in our stance. Now with the ball position, we've gone for our basic shot. For now we want to hit the ball high. In order to do that, we want to move the ball even more forward in our stance. So we're going to move the ball more forward into our stance. Now it is almost off our left toe. Now once we've got the ball in position, this is going to enable us to be able to stay behind the ball a lot longer with our head and body, allowing us to hit the ball a lot higher. So once we've moved the ball up in our stance, we're going to push the club away, stay behind the ball, and hit it nice and high. Now that we've learned how to hit the ball high, we're going to hit the ball low. And to do that, we're going to do just the opposite of what we did for hitting the ball high, which we moved the ball forward in our stance. Now we're going to take the ball and move it back in our stance to enable us to keep the club, after we hit the ball, low and down our line as far as possible. So we've set up, we've moved the ball from standard to back in our stance. We're going to take the same basic swing and hit the ball low right at our target. Now I want you all to remember that it's the same swing for our hooks, for our fades, for our highs and our lows. It's merely a difference of changing the ball position and our stance, but it's the same golf swing.
There are probably a lot of you that would be satisfied just to look as good as Payne Stewart swinging a golf club. I know that I would. So let's watch him swing in slow motion.
When I feel like I'm swinging good at the ball, everything seems to flow together. Once I get in my setup, the takeaway's nice and smooth and slow, allowing me to turn behind the ball. Then once I get set at the top, it's just I uncoil back towards the ball, allowing my arms to pass my body, finishing over on my left side with everything pointed at the target, and I know I've hit a good golf shot.
Payne gave us an awful lot to think about there. Did you think some of the things he said didn't seem to jibe with what Tom and Craig had said? Might be worth going back for a review. I know it's tedious and hard work, but it's important for you to understand not only what each player says, but how what he says stacks up with what the other players say. The next player has been known throughout his career as one of the most competitive players in the game. He's also one of the fastest. So pay attention to Mr. Lanny Watkins.
My idea of a good, successful golf swing is one that functions properly day after day. I want a swing that repeats and repeats and repeats. One that holds up under pressure. It does what I want it to do when I want it to do it. A First thing I do when I work on my game is to concentrate on alignment. Alignment is one of the most important things that you can work on in your golf swing. When you're lining up to hit a shot, the club and the ball should be lined up at the intended line of flight or at the intended target, depending on whether you're on the tee or hitting to a green. To do this, you need to have your feet square to slightly open, as I'm showing here down this flight. With the club lined up on the intended line of flight, you can keep the club down the target line for a long period of time, enabling you to hit the ball very straight. Probably one of the biggest mistakes I see amateur golfers make is to line up to the right of the target. When they line up to the right of the target, the club goes off the path. So if you can line up on the intended line of flight and keep your feet nice and square, that enables the club to stay on line for a long period of time. The longer you can keep the club on the intended line of flight, the harder and straighter you can hit the ball. I then work on stance and ball position. I want my stance in a nice, comfortable position. I don't want it too wide or too narrow. I want it nice and comfortable, but shoulder width, but comfortable. Something that creates a nice, solid foundation to use during the swing. When I'm working on ball position, I have the ball on the instep to the heel of my left foot with the woods. When I'm playing the irons, I move it back in my stance somewhat, inside the heel and even a little bit further back with the short clubs. I try and keep my stance, as I mentioned earlier, slightly open, not a lot, but just slightly, enabling me to swing down the line of flight. So if I'm in a nice, comfortable position where I'm bent from the waist, knees slightly flexed, I'm able to let my arms hang nice and comfortably, where I can make a nice, full, solid turn away from the ball. To start the turn away from the ball, I want my left knee, left shoulder, and left hip to all go away from the ball together. I don't want any one thing to go away first. I want the swing working together at all times. If I can turn the left side away from the ball, coil against the right knee and the right instep, not getting the weight to the outside of my right foot, but coiled in here under control, then I set the club at the top. Once the club is set at the top of the swing, then you fire off the right side, off the inside of your right foot, pulling down with the left, releasing with the right, the head staying down at all times. One of the big keys in the golf swing is to have the head still. The head is the axis for the swing. The head should stay really fairly stationary all during the swing. As you turn, the left side dominates the takeaway, turning back together. Once we get to the backswing and coiled on the inside of the right foot and right knee, never getting to the outside of the right foot or the right knee moving laterally to the right. We want it nice and coiled. Gives us a nice position. We've turned the left side behind the ball. As this happens, the right knee, the right hip, the right shoulder, and the hands all let go at the same time, turn through the shot, releasing the club head down the line of flight. I'm going to try and show you what we're talking about. Nice solid stance, good posture to dress, nice turn together, everything working together in the swing. The swing should feel nice and tight as everything works together, turns together, and then releases down through the shot. Works sometimes. The things I've showed you with the fairway woods today are things that I work on in all aspects of my game. If I had to stress one thing when you're working on these things on the practice tee, is to really try and hit the ball solidly. If you make good solid contact using the fundamentals I've showed you, I think you'll improve your game dramatically.
That's one of the best money swings ever right there, folks. It's one that seems to just get better under pressure. It's interesting to know what makes it tick. Certainly worth some review. So let's go back and watch Lanny in slow motion.
I want my stance in a nice, comfortable position, but shoulder width, but comfortable. I want to start the swing with basically the left side of my body, all turning away from the ball at the same time, getting behind the ball. It's the left knee, shoulder, and hip turning behind the ball. Once that's done and your weight has transferred to your right side, you can then fire off the inside of your right foot. When you fire off the inside of your right foot, it transfers the weight to your left side, the club coming down the intended line of flight, pulling with the left, and is releasing with the right.
For those of you who are ready to go on, we're at that point that many of you have been waiting for. The big gun, the driver, probably the most glamorous club in the bag. And to demonstrate, certainly one of the most respected swings on tour, Mr. Hal Sutton.
I'm going to talk about the driver now, and there's something that I'd really like to start off with, and I can't overemphasize this enough. The driver is the boomer. That's the one that everybody wants to hit a long ways. Everybody's trying to hit it as hard as they can hit it, and that's not always best. Maybe there is one or two holes on the golf course that you really want to reach back and get a little bit extra. But for the most part, if you really want to play your best golf, you've really got to swing within yourself. Let's talk about stance and posture and alignment now. Where I like to get my stance is I like to walk into the golf ball like this with basically my feet pretty close together. Maybe take a look or two down at my target down there so I know that I'm pretty much in the right area of where I want to be. Then I'll take my right foot and go away from it first, take my left foot and move it a little bit forward. Now what I'm trying to accomplish here is I don't want that ball way up here on my toe like this, and I don't want it way back here, so I'm trying to get to the same place every time. That's why I'm going in like this, with my feet together, moving my right foot and then moving my left foot. We've got the ball in the stance where we want it. Let's talk about posture. When we're talking about posture, I'm talking about how far away from the golf ball I am and where my body is, where my rear end and where my back is, what my posture looks like. When I'm trying to get in the right area as far as I want to be away from the ball, I set the club down behind the ball in the middle of the club, and I want enough room between the butt of the club and my stomach where my hand can pass this way between the butt of the club and my stomach. That's about where the club ought to be. That means that I'm about right. I want a slight flex in my knees. I don't want this, and I don't want this. Just a slight flex in my knees, and I want my back to be straight. I don't want any of this, and I don't want any of this. I just want to bend over like I'm shaking somebody's hand, and I want to go to the ball right there. When we're talking about alignment, we're going to pick out a spot out here from this ball to where we want to go, and about 20 to 24 inches in front of the ball, I'm going to put something just for you to tell where I'm talking about here. I always pick out a spot where I want to go over. It's called spot alignment. A lot of people do it in their putting. I do it with every shot, full shots and all. That's where I want to put the ball over. My feet, as far as where my feet are aligned and my stance, I want my feet to be pretty much square. If anything, I want them to be a little open. Sometimes for a specialty shot, I'll put them a little bit closed, but basically I want my feet aligned square to slightly open. Now that we've got our stance and our posture and our alignment correct, I want to talk about connection. When I'm talking about connection, I'm talking about having a plug right in the inside of my arm right here and a socket right here in my chest. I want to plug in right here, and I don't ever want that to break the prongs on this plug. I always want everything to go back into one piece like this right here. I don't want any of this broken up like this. Another thing, when I talk about not breaking the prongs, we're talking about the triangle, taking the triangle away in one piece. Now let me explain what the triangle is. This is one leg of it, this is another leg of it. When I put my right arm on, I've got another leg of that triangle. What we're going to do is we're going to take this triangle away in one piece, just like that. We don't want any of this, because once we've done that, we've broken that angle. We put a new angle in. Now that we understand the triangle, let's talk about that waggle. I see a lot of different kind of waggles, and let me show you two of the most common waggles. The first one that I see most often is this one right here, where there's a break of the wrist and the club comes back like this. It's really a stationary left hand, and the right hand cocks like this. I don't really like to see that waggle. I like to see a mini swing where everything's one piece and the triangle moves together. When I take it away, I like to keep, like I said, I like to keep that triangle intact and not create any other angles. By doing that, that's going to take my left hand back like this, and if I put a line right through my left hand right here, it would point straight out in front of the ball right there. Now if we fan this open like this, and I run a line through my left hand, that line's going to point right out here somewhere. We don't want that at all. If I fan it open, that means I've come way inside, and I've set several more angles in it and the whole works, and we don't want to do that. Once I've got this takeaway in one piece like this, then I can come back in and load the right side. When I talk about loading the right side, I'm talking about there's a wall right here, right on my right side. Let's say if I start right here, I don't want to cross over this wall. The most movement I want is I want to go to this wall. I don't want to go over here, and I don't want to stay back here either. We've got to load the right side. Once we've got all these fundamentals in place, in other words, we've got our takeaway correct, we've got our connection, and we've loaded the right side, and we get to the top of our swing back here. Once we get there, all I'm thinking about doing is return to that golf ball at the address position with control of my left side and firing with my right side this way. And what I want to do from there is I want my left elbow down through the shot. I don't want my left elbow going towards the target. If I get my left elbow going through like this and towards the target, then I've got a block. And we don't want a block. A block is where the shot goes to the right. We need the left elbow down through it this way. I've still got my triangle here. I've still got my connection. Once we're through the ball right here, then we're going to finish like this. We're not going to finish over here. We're going to finish with our hands out in front like this. We're going to finish with a straight line right back here. My hips are level. I'm not over here like this, and I'm not over here like this. My shoulders are level. We're going to try to put all this into one thing. Put all these fundamentals into place and hit a golf ball. Let's see if we can do that now. Well, I must have swung within myself because I'm balanced on my left side and all of my levels seem to be there. What I mean by levels is I'm not this way, I'm not this way. My back is straight. I'm not in a reverse C position or anything else. So I must have swung within myself.
Hal Sutton is one of the prized pupils of renowned teaching professional Jimmy Ballard. Hal has been working on the same set of fundamentals Ballard gave him when he was 17 years old. Now the operative word there is working. Hal Sutton made himself a great player through hard work and practice. And so did the other four players you've been watching and listening to on this tape. And so did every great player who's ever played the game of golf. Let's take a good look at Hal's swing in slow motion.
When I assume the address position, I always like for my stance to be square to slightly open. I like for the takeaway to be where I take it away with the back of my left hand. We want that takeaway, a one-piece takeaway. That'll always cause you to come back. You can stay connected. You can clear your right shoulder out. Then I can come back in and load the right side. If I stay connected, load the right side, that'll get me all the way to the top. What I want to do is I want to return to the golf ball the same way that I started, which is basically back to my setup. Control with my left side and fire with my right side. I finish with my hands out in front of me. I'm level. Most of my weight's on my left side, and I'm facing my target.
If there's one thing we want you to take away from this tape, it's that you must practice and develop your skills. It's only through concentrated effort that you can learn to apply the principles discussed here. The players want to reiterate. I'll be back after a final word from them.
When we practice, it's always to reinforce that repeating swing.
The one we rely on for every shot in the bag.
The stance may vary,
Or the length of the swing may vary.
but only due to the length of the club we're using. The basic swing remains the same.
So practice. Use these keys and pointers we've described, and you'll begin to develop a repeating swing.
With proper use of this tape, we hope you'll develop a set of keys or a method of your own.
when you practice, do it intelligently.
Put a primary thought in your mind and make yourself work toward achieving it.
Don't worry about where the ball's going in the beginning.
After all, you're working on a new swing.
And it's not going to come overnight.
Give yourself a chance.
Be patient.
And
Good luck.
There's a final point to be made, and it was evident to some of you, I'm sure. Practice and hard work are not the only things these 5 players have in common. Remember in the beginning of this tape when we showed you how all 5 grip the club almost identically? Did you notice that they have other very similar traits as well? If you did, you were paying attention, for they all do very much the same things fundamentally. Some express it differently, but in certain fundamental positions they are all quite similar. Let me show you. They all take their stance with their feet about the width of their shoulders, somewhat wider for the longer clubs and somewhat narrower for the shorter clubs. Their weight is evenly distributed, both from left to right and from heel to toe. Their arms hang naturally. Their posture is that of a person preparing to make an athletic move. Knees flexed, back straight. Live, controlled tension running through the entire body. They are aligned just slightly left or square to their intended line of flight, depending on the club they are using. They position the ball between the center of their stance and the left heel, again depending on the club that is being used. They all start the club back in one piece, everything together. They all have most of their weight transferred to a braced right leg at the top of their backswing. They all feel like they return to the same position at impact that they were in at address. They all make a full release. There is no attempt to steer or guide the ball with their hands. They just let it go. They all complete the swing with their weight transferred comfortably to the left side, with the entire body facing the target. If you'll go back and check, you'll find that it's not just this generation of great players that did these things. Every great player did these things. For they are the fundamentals, and they are common to all efficient repeating swings. For you seekers of a secret, we say to you, if there is one, we've shown it to you. There is no future in gimmicks. There is no mysterious shortcut. Practicing the fundamentals is the key to improving your golf game. Use this tape to check your swing. Are you fundamentally sound? If not, you know what to do. Yes, head for the practice tee and do everything that the 5 players on this tape have recommended. If you do, you'll be doing everything that they do. And you wouldn't mind that, would you? Think about it. Good luck, and I'll see you on tape 2, the short game.
Sharing is how we play the game. This year, Nabisco Golf and the PGA Tour events will give over $20 million to charities like these.
The benefactors include organizations like Easter Seals, Special Olympics, Nancy Reagan TPC Village, Junior Golf, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, plus many hospitals and research foundations nationwide. Every year, with Nabisco's help, the leading money winner on the PGA Tour is charity.
Sharing is the game for those of us who play in the Nabisco Golf Team charity competition, because all our team winnings go directly to charities like the ones you just saw.
Nabisco Golf Team Charity and the PGA Tour. Sharing is how we play the game. For further help on any of the points covered in this tape, see your local PGA professional. The preceding was produced by PGA Tour Productions in association with Reed Dolph Incorporated. To tens of millions of golf fans, the PGA Tour is the standard by which golf playing excellence is measured. The PGA Tour, in conjunction with Nabisco Golf, is proud to present its first instructional golf series. Stay in tune with your game with the full swing, the short game, and course strategy. They're geared to help you play the PGA Tour way. For further information on any of the PGA Tour instructional series, call 1-800-PLAY-IBE